It isn't required, however. Attempt to like or aversion the film video. A psychological refuge is displayed toward the start of the film. It is for individuals who have lost their psychological state as well as hoodlums. A guilty party like this has been imprisoned here for the past 40 years. He hadn't uttered a word over the most recent 40 years. Maybe he has failed to remember how to impart. Michael is the name of this lawbreaker. Most of individuals know about him. Michael will be moved to a jail with an enormous number of hoodlums tomorrow, since he has submitted various killings. 2 media questioners show up to ask regarding it. To ask him how is he feeling regarding leaving this spot following 40 years. Yet, he can't talk, so the way in which they will take his meeting. They go to his primary care physician. They ask him, "Will Michael converse with us?" "Allow us to attempt," says his PCP. The specialist shows up on an immense ground here. Michael was attached with a chain. He doesn't pay attention to them. Questioners additionally have a veil in their grasp. It was connected with Michael, yet he doesn't twist. He moves his neck somewhat as he probably was aware there is a veil in the questioner's hand. The questioners become frustrated that they can't make Michael talk. They can't talk with him. They move to a woman's home named Lori. She seems, by all accounts, to be a rich woman, so she no doubt decreases the meeting. They offer her an immense measure of $3,000. "Simply pay attention to us for once," so the woman opens the entryway for them. Yet, she has placed many secures her home. She has overseen high security. As she is terrified of somebody, her immense house was in an abandoned spot. All things considered, she takes the $3,000. Subsequent to calling them inside, she again locks the house. Here it is found that Lori lives alone. Since she was isolated. She has a girl. She is hitched and furthermore has a girl, implies Lori's granddaughter. An aggregate of 3 individuals live in her girl's home, her little girl, her granddaughter, and her dad. She is an intense woman. The scene changes. Lori's granddaughter is displayed with her companions. She was in the school. Her male companion and his companion are additionally shown. They were sitting in their study hall. Lori's granddaughter sees a woman outside her group. She was her grandma. Implies Lori, with whom she didn't meet. Lori gives her granddaughter the $3,000 after the class. Here, her granddaughter says, "Why don't you fail to remember Michael? Disregard your battle with him." It is found here Lori and Michael are adversaries. They regularly battle. Lori needs to end Michael. She doesn't need Michael to live in this world any longer. Lori likewise has firearms and the firing region at home where she rehearses how to end Michael while shooting him. She figures she will battle one day since now she is valiant. She may be needed to correct retribution on Michael. We will observe it later that what has happened precisely. Lori is displayed external the psychological refuge around evening time. She came here to end Michael since he will be moved tomorrow. Lori's granddaughter is displayed with her male companion. Her relatives were additionally there. They all were having food. In the meantime, Lori shows up. Lori illuminates them that she saw Michael today on her way there. He was discouraged. Her granddaughter causes her to see no issues. She dumps her out so she might take off for the house. A dad and child are displayed on a street as though they were on their way someplace. A transport is shown shifted before them. It was tumbled down. It was the jail transport in which all detainees were moving. Every one of the detainees were strolling in the street when the transport tipped. Among them, the dad pushes ahead to see. His child calls the police. He additionally moves in the transport with his firearm. He takes shots at a specialist before him since he thinks of him as a detainee. Then, at that point, he comes and starts his vehicle. Michael shows up there. He holds him from the rear and closures him. Before long, The senior cop shows up and explores the spot. He sees many dead bodies here. One of them was a cop. Later, we notice the media questioners. They go to Michael's grave. Be that as it may, Michael likewise shows up. It implies he was dead close to the world, yet he was set in a cover. The questioners are familiar. It was a service station. The female journalist goes inside the store there. She came here for utilizing the washroom. Michael is displayed while finishing somebody. He was the retailer whom he closes gravely. He even takes his teeth. On the opposite side, the female journalist hears a few voices in the washroom. He was Michael. He has worn a repairman's uniform subsequent to finishing him come in the washroom. To end this woman. Before this, the male correspondent knows something. He comes to get away from his associate. Michael sees him and kills him by more than once hitting him with a washroom divider. His much blood was squandered. He again moves to Washroom's lodge where the female columnist is. He astutely tosses the teeth of the business person in her lodge, whom he finished previously. The female columnist shouts. Michael squeezes her neck while going close to her. She likewise kicked the bucket from an absence of oxygen. Then, at that point, Michael goes out to the vehicle and breaks his veil subsequent to bringing it down. He continues on his next venture. It is clear it will be to end or compromise individuals. Lori likewise cows this. That he has gotten away from the transport today. She quickly goes to her little girl for telling her. Since she actually loves and cares for her little girl. Yet, her girl can't stand her. Their bond wasn't great in youth. They shut the entryway subsequent to seeing her and says get out. The arrangements for Halloween were at their pinnacle. Michael has likewise pushed ahead subsequent to wearing his cover. He crashes into two children out and about. We're scared of him here. Perhaps he'll hurt those children, however not at all like this has at any point occurred. Afterward, Michael goes to a woman's home. He assaults her with a sledge and she bites the dust. The woman likewise has a child, however Michael doesn't hurt the child. He emerges from that point. Michael has taken the blade from the house and moves to the neighbor. A youngster was chatting on the call. Michael wounds the blade in her neck. He likewise closes her. Lori's granddaughter is displayed in the club. She was with her male companion and there was his companion moreover. They were partaking in a great deal. In the meantime, Lori's granddaughter sees her male companion isn't acting great with her. He is deceiving her. She tells him, however the kid gets her telephone wet. So she won't reach her loved ones. Her grandma was stressed for her. She went to tell her girl. Presently she moves looking for her granddaughter. Presently a purple-haired young lady is displayed in a house. She was really focusing on a youngster. In the meantime, her companion shows up and she boils down to meet him. The child likewise lets the sitter know there is somebody in my room. The purple-haired young lady goes to that child's room. She checks and says, "Son, there is none in your room. Presently you should rest." When she shuts his storeroom, it didn't close. Following a couple of moments, Michael emerges from it. He makes her tumble down while hitting her. The police come to be aware of it. Lori likewise finds this is on the grounds that she was paying attention to the police while following them. She additionally arrives at there. They notice the young lady has passed on, however Lori sees Michael. Lori takes shots at him. Michael was getting away from that point. Lori swiftly looks for him. She takes shots at his shoulder. Be that as it may, till then he has gotten away. Being stressed, Lori moves from that point. To illuminate her girl once more. A mother is a mother until the end of time. Her girl again gets rowdy with her. Lori tells her your girl's life is at serious risk. It implies Lori's granddaughter. Lori's granddaughter is shown. She was getting back home with her male companion. Yet, that was certainly not a decent kid. He gets rowdy with Laurie's granddaughter. The young lady leaves while pushing him. She hears his shouting voice from behind. Whenever she checks, she finds Michael has finished him. Presently Michael is before her. She gets terrified. Since a shared companion was choked with the entryway's poles, she was frightened that perhaps this will happen to you. Yet, Laurie's granddaughter was so daring. She quickly runs from that point. She thumps at a neighbor's home. Neighbors call her inside and say, "Don't be concerned, we have called the police." They deal with her and control center her. On another side, Laurie shares with her girl, "You are undependable here. Pay attention to me once and for all." She takes her little girl and her significant other to her home. There were the security officials who were safeguarding her. After it, they all transition to Laurie's cellar. They notice many weapons there. On the opposite side, we see the senior cop strolling with another official. Out of nowhere, Michael comes before the vehicle. They hit him. Emerging as the senior cop was going to shoot Michael. Michael's primary care physician comes in front. He closes the cop while getting away from Michael. Here it is found Michael's primary care physician was supporting him. All through the film, he doesn't need that anything happens to Michael. Furthermore, moves to another jail. He enthusiastically crashes the transport. So Michael will get away. He will likewise get benefit from Michael. Here, Michael has blacked out. His primary care physician was taking him and Laurie's granddaughter to Laurie's home. As Michael comes in faculties, he thinks perhaps the specialist has assaulted him. He beats him a great deal. During this, Laurie's granddaughter get away. The specialist likewise comes out and closes the specialist while hitting him with his feet. It implies it was futile for the specialist to help Michael. That is the reason it is said, "Don't help the fiendishness. We ought to continuously help the decency." Then, at that point, it is displayed there are some cops outside Laurie's home. Whenever Laurie's little girl's significant other checks, all the cops were dead. In the interim, Michael shows up and closes him. Laurie finds there is an off-putting thing. She tells her little girl to go to the cellar right away. Afterward, Laurie goes to the primary entryway. It was their parlor entryway, and she was remaining there sitting tight for Michael. In the interim, Michael pulls Laurie away from the entryway and puts his hand on her cheek. Laurie shoots Michael, his fingers harmed, and he comes inside. Laurie quickly goes to the cellar. Michael didn't see her. Laurie was shooting him from the storm cellar. Because of it, Michael finds where they are. Here, Laurie doesn't act admirably. She quickly comes out and actually takes a look at each room. Whereas Michael stood away. She seals the room where she didn't find Michael, so it is realized that Michael isn't in the room. He won't go to the room when the room is fixed. She goes higher up when she opens the storage room. There she tracks down the dead body of her little girl's better half. In the meantime, Michael shows up. This time, he wounds her and pushes her down the window. Laurie's granddaughter likewise shows up and Michael sees her. Whenever he sees drawback where he tossed Laurie, she wasn't there. She has gotten away from that point. Michael's consideration redirects Laurie's granddaughter goes to the cellar to her mom. Michael additionally realizes they are in the cellar. He attempts to come into the storm cellar and opens the entryway. Laurie's girl begins shouting as a result of it. She was frightened and promptly fires him while holding a weapon. Laurie comes from a dull room and assaults Michael with a pole. She tosses him into the cellar. Laurie's little girl and granddaughter rose up out of the cellar after he fell. As Laurie's girl was moving higher up, Michael holds her foot. Presently Laurie's granddaughter wounds his hand with a blade. His hand was harmed as a result of it. He leaves her. Laurie hauls her little girl and granddaughter out from the cellar. They close the storm cellar entryway. It implies they have made this cellar to trap Michael. Then, at that point, Laurie spreads gas in the cellar and sets the cellar ablaze. However, it is found the fire isn't hurting Michael. He was consuming, yet it appears he isn't feeling the aggravation. They generally come out and the house was set ablaze. Michael was likewise inside it. Laurie's little girl and granddaughter rose up out of the cellar after he fell. They are moving at a huge span. This is the finish of the film. Much obliged to you for your time.